Hello and welcome to the channel's book club. Thank you for joining us once again. It was a busy week in the literary world, and do we have some juicy clips for you on this episode? First, on the 6th of March in Lagos, Professor Herbert Orji, chairman of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and board member of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, presented his book, Platinum Essays in the Philosophy of Applied Economics of Development. It is one those with interest in economic policies should pick up. The Nigeria Prize for Science and the Nigeria Prize for Literature are science and literary awards presented annually since 2004, sponsored by Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas in partnership with the Nigerian Academy of Science and the Nigerian Academy of Letters. The prize for literature rotates among 4 genres: fiction, poetry, drama, and children's literature. On Friday, 7th of March, at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Victoria Island, Lagos, NLNG publicly presented Tade Ipadeola as the 2013 winner of the award. The following short documentary will introduce to you the incredibly talented Tade Ipadeola. But before then, we'll take a break and a short report. Please don't.
The name of Herbert Orji may not be easily connected to books unless you move in the same intellectual circle. This is because the man for whom this crowd is gathered at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Victoria Island, Lagos, is not only a professor. He holds the helm at various levels, ranging from being the chairman of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission to being a board member of several companies. Professor Herbert Orji is a man that knows his onions on economic issues.
One of my favorite books, written by a senior columnist and a Pulitzer Prize winner, Simmons of New York Times, is called The World is Flat. That book, if you can lay your hands on that book, take a look at the book. That is how a book should be written. In fact, a good school certificate holder will very much appreciate that book because it goes through the standardized format of excellent writing. And at the end, it has a lot of information for the larger society, anywhere you are, be it Nigeria, parts of Africa, Europe, and so on.
Presenting his 5th book, Platinum Essays in the Philosophy of Applied Economics of Development, the professor, in a modest manner, soaks all tributes passed by the guest speakers.
Since then, I've followed Herbert Orji closely. Herbert has one of the finest minds that you can think of. He's passionate about what he believes in. He's passionate about what he believes in. He loves his people. He loves us who are his immediate neighbors. He loves us in Abia State. He loves Ndibo. He loves Nigeria.
This book is written for Nigeria's attentive public. That means those that care, and which means all of us here. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be here. This style of writing speaks volume about the excellent intellectual background and mastery of the subject of the author. Different chapters of this book will certainly appeal to particular interest groups. However, I would like to call special attention to chapter 14. Chapter 14 is about assessing the capital market for infrastructural development. Some other chapter is including chapter 1 on Millennium Development Goal. There are other chapters. If this country can concentrate in what he has said in those few chapters I listed here, you'll be in good shape.
But beyond the message on the book is the advice to Nigerians on embracing better reading habits.
More and more discussions, more and more books such as this helps in creating the political will. It's in an environment where even if you are a politician, even if you are somebody in office and you are not inclined to going this way, when you hear all your advisors and all the people share the same kind of conviction and the same ideas, you have no choice but to follow that trend. It's usually when it's a trickle, when there's just a slight trickle of ideas, then you have a problem. But when it's an onslaught of ideas, it'll move you.
And there's another kind of accolade, one closer to the heart than the others.
I've always supported my husband in whatever he wants to do. And most of the time, he's in the academic field, and he loves to read, he loves to write. He tells me about all the books he has read right from secondary school. And with that character, he tries to inspire everybody who is around him.
Picking up this book and others of its kind is an opportunity not just to develop self, but the nation as a whole.
Tade Ikpadiola is a poet that loves to travel. Most of his work is inspired by his many travels to various parts of the world. Today, however, he's on a different kind of journey. Tucked away in the heart of southwestern Nigeria is a sleepy town that holds fond memories for the poet. This is Fiditi in Oyo State, where it all started.
My father taught here. I was born here, and I remember coming to the school to watch him play tennis with his friends. That was the office of the headmaster, that very first one.
As a little boy, Ikpadiola would often go to the nearby Fiditi Grammar School to play.
Oh, Baba. Yes, sir. Tade Ikpadiola ló kọ mi. Ọmọ akínmọ̀rin ṣùgbọ́n bàbá mi kọ́ school mi. Èmi náà sì wà níbí.
It was also here that he made a discovery that would leave a lasting impression on him.
As time went on, I discovered some other aspects of the town, of this place. Mainly having to do with Christopher Okigbo and what he was the first real modernist poet we had in Africa. And to think that he was here, he walked this place. He taught children how to play football here. That was something for me. Now, it reminds me of what the poet Derek Walcott says. People are valuable everywhere, not just in cities. And I think Christopher Okigbo demonstrated that. You didn't have to be born in a big city. You could be here and still amount to something.
As a young boy, one of Tade's favorite pastimes was to read every piece of literature he could find. At that time, there was only one place where he could find enough literature to satisfy his curious mind: the school library.
I think the library was my first transportation pad into the universe. When I was in my third year, third form, we used to call it, I was made a student librarian. And as student librarian, I had to be familiar with the books, whether they were science books, whether they were social science books, whether they were humanities, literature. I had access to the works of J.P. Clark, Wole Soyinka, Dennis Protos, Oswald Nshali, poems of Black Africa generally. And then, of course, European poets, American poets. All these are touchstones that I used from here. You read a book on Russia by Solzhenitsyn and you are transported into Russia. Not just the geography of Russia, but into how people thought, how people felt in Russia. You can say that the library made all that possible. And I started writing, of course, in the library.